Maybe it's just me, but how many of you have found yourself struggling to rest in today for fear of tomorrow? Suppose that doesn't work. Suppose this happens. Suppose that happens. Am I the only one that ever feels threatened?
How much time are you wasting worrying? Jesus put it this way: don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have enough worries of its own.
Each day has enough trouble of its own. Do not worry. It's not a request, it's a command. You can pray real good, but if you worry better than you pray, you nullified what you prayed for. Worry is faith turned inside out.
This is one of the main ways we show God we're trusting Him, by staying in peace.
Your thought life is infected by worry.
You don't make good decisions when you're worried.
Anxiety is literally worrying about tomorrow. You want to know everything, you control freak. You profess to walk by faith and not by sight, and yet you want to know everything about something that hadn't even happened yet. You're making yourself sick.
Don't try to figure out the next 5 years, play out all the what ifs. The truth is, if a what if does come to pass, God will give you the grace to handle it. We can't add 1 inch to our life by worrying.
I want to speak to every person who's trapped and so worried that you want to die. Tomorrow belongs to God. You're worried to death or in pain about yesterday. Yesterday is trying to get you to kill tomorrow. Tomorrow belongs to God. Say it again. Tomorrow belongs to God.
God never promised that He would keep us from difficulties, but He did say He would give us peace in the midst of the storms.
Peace in the storm is a result of communion with God. This is what prayer does for you, so that you're not always reacting to what you see going on around you. You don't act like the crowd. Everybody's screaming and running, but when you've been talking to God, you have peace in the storm. Is there anybody in here that's had unexplainable peace? That comes from having a consistent prayer life. How you react to the storm determines how far you're gonna go. You can't be a leader if you freak out. You hold it together. You hold it together. Discipline. Discipline over your emotions. Discipline. We have a generation of undisciplined people who say whatever they think, whenever they want to. You talk to people when you ought to be talking to God. If you start talking to God, it'll change how you talk to people. God doesn't need you to tell Him what's going on. He already knows what's going on. You don't pray to inform Him, you pray to invite Him. Come into my good decision. Come into my bad decision. Come into the place where I reacted out of my emotions rather than your word. I need your direction. I need your word to prevail over my word. I invite you. Let's just take a moment right now and invite Him.
You have to learn to turn it over to God and say, God, I trust you. You have this all figured out. So I'm going to be still and know that you are God.
Are you carrying too much that you're not even designed for? Do you go to God in prayer? I don't mean like you dial 911. I mean on a daily, continual basis that flushes your soul. You're so careful about what you put in your body, but are you careful about what you put in your soul? You gossip, you talk to people about people, you criticize everybody, so your flesh is going to be clean, but your spirit is filthy. Prayer is your secret weapon. If you want to be a public success, you got to be a private prayer. Get down on your knees and pray. Shut your mouth and pray. Prayer is your secret weapon. You will dance 30 minutes, but you won't pray 5.
Let the worry be a reminder to switch over into praise. You have to turn your worry into worship.
I want you to understand that prayer is a part of self-care. Self-care is soul care.
Don't forget to pray. Don't be ashamed to pray. It's the one thing that's available to everybody at any given time. You're not going to make it without God. If you've tried it so far, tell me how that's working out for you. I've needed him every step of the way. You need God. You need to tell him that you need him.
Most of the time we're praying, God, get me out of this challenge. But before you get out, you have to invite God in. He comes in and gives you strength that you can't explain, grace to outlast what should stop you. When you ask God to come in, you can be at rest. When you ask him in, you're saying, God, don't just change the circumstances, change me. Let my character come up higher. Now, voices will whisper, God doesn't even hear your prayers. The truth is, God is setting you up to show out in your life. Are you trying to get out of something that God is going to take you through? The right attitude is, God, I know you're going to bring me out, but in the meantime, I'm asking you to come into this depression that's trying to stop me. When you know God is with you, you'll have a smile in the middle of the difficulty. If you're only praying, God, get me out, you'll be discouraged until it changes. If you'll start saying, show me your greatness in this trouble, then you'll have a peace that passes understanding. God doesn't stop every negative situation. He uses adversities to move us into our purpose. We wouldn't know he could move mountains if we never faced big obstacles. When he's with you, you cannot be defeated. What should take you out cannot stop your destiny. I'm asking you to start praying, God, help me to have a good attitude. Because sometimes God is waiting for us to pass the test before he brings us out. We know that God is always with us. But when you're in difficulties and you invite him in, you're going to feel his presence in a greater way. That obstacle may be too much for you, but it is not too much for our God. He's your protector, your healer. You don't have to do this on your own. You may be in the fire now. You need to start saying, God, I am not going to worry. I trust you. Stay in faith when it doesn't make sense. Do the right thing when the wrong thing has happened. If you only knew what God is going to do, you'd stay in peace. You would believe big. You'd get rid of the guilt. You'd stir your faith up and start dreaming again. Start believing again.